You know, I haven't done a wrap-up video in a while, so I'm really looking forward to this. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Bound in a Bookmarked. It is me, it is I, Jaleesa. So for today's video, I have my January wrap-up. I haven't done a wrap-up video in a long time. Like, I think the end of last year was just, I don't know, it was such a weird reading season for me because I was still reading, but I really wasn't loving the things I was reading, so I didn't feel the need to really discuss them, which is so like not what I was wanting to do with my channel, obviously. I want to also discuss books I didn't really like that much, but yeah, I don't know, I was in a funk. I am slowly but surely making my way out of it. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on lately. I feel like I'm breathing like really hard. I just ran in the room, that's why. Anyway, so I'm gonna get just right into the books that I read in January, wrap these up really quickly for you, and just talk about some things that I really enjoyed, some things I didn't enjoy as much. We're gonna go in order from the book that I read first in January to the last book that I read in January, which I'm pretty stoked about, so stick around to the end because the last book that I'm going to discuss with you is so good and it's so cute. Okay, so the first book was called Necessary People by Anna Petoniak. I really enjoyed this book. This book follows two main characters. So you have Stella and Violet. Stella is like she's like your Regina George, okay? Naomi Clark, if you watch 90210, she is your Paige Michael Chuck. Some would say Manny from Degrassi. So they're like your it girls, your rich, beautiful, just young women who just seem to have it all. Like they just seem to have it all in life. And then you have Violet, who is not, I don't think she's, well, she's not really poor, but she is not rich. She's not rich, but she's the kind of person who is kind of in her friend's shadow. She works really hard, like from the ground up, for anything that she wants. So we follow them from the very beginning when they meet in college. Olive had a full ride to Duke University, and she meets Stella at this one school. I can't remember what school they end up going to, but she meets Stella at a different school at an orientation one day, talks to her for 5 minutes, and out of that 5 minutes, she decides to turn down her scholarship, her full ride, go to a private school that's very expensive, and yeah, she decides that she's gonna follow Stella to this school. Like, that opening scene really sets the tone for their friendship throughout the years, because we follow them after college, and Violet gets an internship at this really, like, I wouldn't say a startup, but it's a very small cable news company, and she's working there. She works her way up to, like, from assistant to just like higher position, and she's doing really well for herself. She was a producer, so she's not like on the front camera. She is a person who helps write the scripts, make sure everything's going as it's planned. One day Stella decides she's going to audition basically for a job as a news anchor at the same company. So the whole story, the whole premise follows kind of the two of them battling for the spotlight, but in different ways. And then kind of this like push and pull friendship where Stella uses, you know, Violet to make herself seem more fun, more interesting, more mysterious. And then you have Violet, who uses Stella to make herself seem a little bit helpless, so like in order to kind of gain pity from those around her. And she also uses Stella to make herself seem like she's more grounded, more down to earth, and like an overall better person, more like moral wise. And so it's really an interesting dynamic between the two of them. It was really an enjoyable story, and I feel like you should totally give it a try if you're into stories about friendship, about jealousy, about obsessive tendencies, about murder even. Like, it was so well done. So really enjoyed that. Next is tearjerker. So next is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. I cried. Needless to say, I did cry a couple of tears with this story. I will link above to my vlog for this because I definitely vlogged my experience with this book. So if you want to get like super in detail about how I felt about this one, watch that video. It'll be up top and in my description box too. Quick kind of content warning. This book deals with a lot of grief and a lot of discussion around death. So just keep that in mind. But this story follows Julie and Sam, this high school couple who have been together for 3 years until Sam has an untimely death. And so one day Julie she's so caught up in her grief that she decides to call Sam's phone because she just wants to hear his voice again. Like, she just assumes it's gonna go to voicemail and she's gonna just, you know, hear his voice again, until she actually hears his voice again because he picks up the phone. She has no idea how it's possible. He also has no clue how it's possible, but somehow it is. The two of them kind of keep this ongoing but kind of a secret, this relationship over the phone. And so we pretty much just follow Julie working through her grief and working through what it was like for her to lose Sam. And what I liked a lot about this story was it didn't follow kind of this cookie cutter, very stereotypical way of handling death. You know, her grief was very selective and very specific to herself. It was very different from anything I've seen in a book or in television, because oftentimes we have this idea or depiction of what grief looks like for a person, but for Julie it was just not the standard idea of grief. And I love that, because every person who has dealt with a loss will cope in different ways, and I feel like it made that even more real for me as a reader. I also have to say this is a dual timeline story, so we have some chapters that are set in the past and some that are set in the present, and my favorite parts were definitely the present tense moments, because I felt like it was in those moments that we really saw and really felt Julie and Sam's love for each other. We felt how strong and intense her emotions were, and it just made her love for Sam so much more believable, and I thought those chapters were just so beautifully written. The one thing that I would have liked to have seen more of was just like those past tense chapters. I wish we would have gotten more scenes with them. Well, not more scenes, because we got a lot of scenes with them, but we got so many scenes at such a quick pace, we really didn't get to settle in them for long enough to really understand the magnitude of their love and what their relationship was really like before he passed away. And I really wanted that history, that foundation being laid for us. It didn't happen for me, and it kind of did make the experience a little bit hard to connect. Like, it made it hard for me as a reader to connect the past with the present in terms of like emotional connection. The love wasn't as apparent, I think, in those past tense chapters. So they were kind of more like memories, and they were past tense, like actual moments. So that was like my only qualm with the story. But I mean, honestly, it was so good, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. There's that one. You should definitely read it though if you're looking for like a sad story, but also a story with some hope thrown in there. Like, read this. Okay, so next was a book that I really freaking loved. Okay, I personally was so scared that I wasn't gonna love this one as much as everyone else was loving it, but I'm here to tell you that I loved it. I'm shouting from the rooftops, I loved it, okay? And that book is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. We have our two main characters. We have Dr. Adam Carlson. He is a professor, I believe they're at Stanford. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure he teaches at Stanford. And then we have Olive, who's a PhD candidate student. She dated this guy like very, very short term, but her best friend was like googly-eyed over him, so she really wasn't feeling him that much. So she was just like, well dang, I need my best friend to know that I'm over this guy so that they can date, because it was very evident that the two of them had way more in common, but were too afraid to take that next step because, you know, they didn't want to hurt Olive's feelings. So Olive sees her friend coming and she randomly kisses this man. That man happened to be Dr. Carlson, and so she didn't know that at the time. She didn't realize who she was kissing. So from then on, they decided to fake date, because it would not only benefit Olive, but it would benefit Adam, because Adam, as a professor, you know, he is trying to do all this research. He needs these funds that the school's holding to be released to him. They're holding the funds because they are afraid that he's a flight risk, that he will leave and go to Harvard, which is offering kind of a really good deal for him, a good job for him. And so he has to prove that he plans on staying around the area for, like, long term. One way to do that is to have a girlfriend, you know, someone that you care about, that you're not gonna up and move away from. And so they both decide equally to fake date until they fall in love for real, of course. I didn't love Olive as a character by herself, but when she was with Adam, I really enjoyed her. She's supposed to be this quirky, very fun, like happy-go-lucky sunshine character, which she is, but I think it could have been done a little bit more. Like, I like when those characters are like super sunshiny characters. Like, I like when they're like doing a lot, when they have like these huge personalities in there. They're just sunshine. Like, I think I wanted more sunshine from her, but given her life story, it makes sense that she's sunshine, but she still has some, you know, tenderness to her, some real like heavy stuff that she dealt with. So like, it makes sense for her. So I mean, I liked her. I didn't love her though, but I did like her. Dr. Adam Carlson I loved. He is, you know me, I'm a sucker for broody characters. He was broody. He was just not, I wouldn't call him negative, but he wasn't like a positive person per se. He had the driest humor in all of the land. I love dry humor. First of all, like in TV shows, my favorite. So I like people who have dry humor because I think it's funny. And the delivery of like his lines in the story just felt so realistic. His character personality was so spot on. But he had also like this tenderness to him. Like, it was obvious that he cares about people, both in a general sense and like in a deeper sense. And so I think that for that reason, his character was just so lovable. I had one con with this book, and I've seen this only done one other time in a book that I've read. I think sex is very normal. I think it's great to have it in stories. I think that it's even better to have like conversations about sex before sex is had in books. I think it's great when they talk about their sexual history, their past partners if they want to. Like, those kind of things are so real to our world and so normal, so I love seeing that in a book. The one thing I don't like is this language when characters have that conversation before they have sex, like, you know, do you have any STDs, STIs, you know, how many partners, are you a virgin? Like, these questions are very important to ask. Are you on birth control? Are you okay with this, this, and this? Like, what are you not okay with? All of these things are very important. The one thing I don't like that happened in this book was Olive and Adam were about to have sex. I think it's Olive who's like, I think it was Olive, because he was like, I don't have any protection. She's like, okay, it's fine, like, I'm clean. I don't like this language of, if you do not have an STD or an STI, you're clean. And that if you do, the opposite of clean is unclean, that means that you're unclean. I think that is something that doesn't really get talked about. Oh, well, I don't know. I actually don't know. I have no idea if that's talked about in the romance community or like amongst authors, but I think it's great to have that conversation in a story. Yeah, so I think it's important to take into account the reality of these things happen. These things are real and they're out there. And I think that language is just kind of insensitive to people who maybe are not in that same situation as like Olive's characters. It's just something to think about. That's just me. But yeah. But overall, the story was fantastic. I loved it. And I thought the beginning to the end, it was just such strong writing. Oh, and it was just so cute. Oh my God, it was so cute. Okay, I hope that y'all are still here, because if you're still here, then you get to hear about the book that I read last in January that I just loved. I don't care if it had one word in it, I would have loved it and I would have gave it 5 stars anyway. I gave it 5 stars for the title alone. I mean, I already knew in my head I was gonna love it, didn't really care. So I don't really read picture books like that. I don't read children's books. I literally only read 1 middle grade book, so that should tell you something. I don't typically read children's books, okay? So what that means is the last book that I read in January was The Office: A Day at Dunder Mifflin Elementary School. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't know this book existed. I had no clue. Don't ask me how I found it, but just know I found it, okay? I don't talk about it that much, I don't think, on my channel, but I'm a huge The Office fan. I have a Dunder Mifflin t-shirt. I'm obsessed. I think I've watched the show maybe 5 times, like all the way through. This book follows Michael Scott and his friends. So you have Jim, you have Pam, you have Stanley, you have everyone. Dwight is there. This story follows Michael Scott, and he is selected to be the line leader for that week of school. Well, he wants to be the world's best line leader. His mother even makes him a mug, and it's so cute. But yeah, so the problem is that he has no idea how to lead a line. He's not sure what to do. He doesn't know if he should do it by height, by age, by first or last name, like alphabetical order. He has no idea, but with the help of his friends, he figures it out. And obviously, I think that this book is aimed toward like a very young crowd. Of course, if they don't watch The Office, they're not gonna really understand why it's so cute. It's about leading a line. So it has some traits that I think are important for kids to learn. How to be a leader. What qualities make up a good leader. The child doesn't have to watch The Office to understand the story, but for adults who have watched the show, if you have children, I think that you would find this very nostalgic, very nostalgic, and both you and your child or your children could enjoy this story for different reasons, obviously. But I mean, I give it 5 stars. I'm not gonna give it anything less. It was incredible. Obviously, I had a pretty good reading month in January, so I'm very happy about that. And I'm ready for February. Today is February 3rd, so I am in the middle of reading a different book right now. If you wanna know a quick preview, I am reading The No Family, and it is K-drama inspired. And yeah, anyway, I'll see you on my next one. Over and out. Bye.